Hey y'all, this is Marla K. Hope y'all are well. Got a story that I want to share with you. It is about an update for the climate agenda and what is going on. This one to me is significant because it is a huge, I hate to say flag, but to me it is setting the stage for the issue to come up about the Sunday day of worship, the day of rest, but they're going to call it the day of rest, eco Sabbath or whatever. But these activities that are taking place are setting the stage for those things to happen. So I feel like they are really important for us to monitor. Again, not to incite fear, not to cause anyone any anxiety, but we are supposed to keep watch of the events that are happening towards the end times as this civilization collapse and this new global order comes online. It is going to be all about climate, and we need to know so that we can make sure that we don't fall into any of their traps, and so that we can protect ourselves from whatever agenda items they have planned for us. Let's leave it at that. All right. So this came out June 19th, 2023 and it is a press release from the White House. So it says fact sheet. Papa and Skiwi's administration makes historic investments to build community climate resilience. So the title says it all. Over the past 2 years, more than 100 million Americans have been personally affected by an extreme weather event. The record-shattering heat wave that hit Puerto Rico earlier this month, recent wildfire smoke that blanketed the Midwest and East Coast, and devastating storms in California are just the latest evidence that climate change is not a far-off threat. It is a crisis that's here now. President Papa and Vice President Skiwi understand that to protect the lives and livelihoods, we need to both slash emissions and give Americans the tools they need to prepare for the growing impacts of climate change. That is why today, President Papa is in California touring a coastal community that is working to safeguard their natural infrastructure, highlighting both the urgency of taking bold climate action and strengthening America's resilience. During his visit, he will preview the Biden-Harris administration's latest actions to help communities adapt to climate change. To the changing climate. Through the president's historic Investing in America agenda, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, that's NOAA, will later this week launch a first ever $575 million climate resilience regional challenge to help coastal and Great Lakes communities, including tribal communities in those regions, become more resilient to extreme weather and other impacts of the climate crisis. The funding will support innovative coastal resilience and adaptation solutions, such as building natural infrastructure, planning and preparing for community-led relocation. You hear me? The planning for relocation to the smart cities. And protecting public access to coastal natural resources that protect communities and ecosystems from sea level rise, tidal flooding, hurricanes, storm surge, among other severe climate impacts. The challenge is part of the $2.6 billion in resilience funding for NOAA, included in the Inflation Reduction Act, and is a part of the president's Justice40 Initiative. I don't know what Justice40 Initiative is, but you bet we're going to look at it when I finish reading this. In addition, the bipartisan infrastructure law is investing $2.3 billion in states, territories, tribes, and the District of Columbia over the next 5 years. So it is 2023, say 2028. So 5 years, all before the 2030 agenda is supposed to be completed. As a part of this investment, California is set to receive $67.4 million in the coming days, with the ability to apply for additional funding in the future to modernize its electric grid, to reduce impacts from extreme weather, natural disasters, and wildfires, and to ensure the reliability of the state's power sector. The Biden-Harris administration knows that effective climate resilience strategies must be locally tailored and community-driven. That's why you got to keep an eye on what's going on in your community, because this money is going to trickle down to your local governments. That is why the president is also announcing later this year he will bring together state, local, tribal, and territorial leaders who are managing the lived impacts of climate change every day for a White House summit on building climate resilient communities. As part of the summit, the Biden-Harris administration will release a new national climate resilience framework. This is what you need to be paying attention to, because inside of this framework, the devil is going to be in these details. So you got to pay attention to this. This is probably where the National Day of Rest going to come in for climate change. So this new national climate resilience framework is designed to advance U.S. government actions in alignment with non-federal efforts. So then this is the non-federal efforts is that global thing that's happening over yonder with them folks in Davos and the organization that makes the owl sound and the U and the N. So those are non-federal efforts towards a shared vision of a climate resilient nation. So here they are mixing up the words and giving you a word salad, but make no mistake, these people got a plan, and this is how they're going to push it. Today's announcements build on the Biden-Harris administration's unprecedented commitment to strengthening America's climate resilience. So here I want to read this. I'm not going to read all of it. There's certain parts that I want you to get, but I will include this in the description so you can read it in its entirety. Click on all the links inside of this so that you can make sure you understand what time it is. And then I'm going to show you something. So investing in climate resilience and adaptation. So President Biden's Investing in America agenda is building communities that are not only resilient to the impacts of a changing climate, but also safer, more equitable, and economically stronger. The president's bipartisan infrastructure law and Inflation Reduction Act together invest more than $50 billion in climate resilience and adaptation. This historic level of funding is already delivering real-world benefits while creating high-quality jobs that provide opportunities to community residents and offer a free and fair choice to join a union. I don't know why that is significant, but okay. The president's investments are upgrading aging roads and bridges, providing tax credits for families to add more energy-efficient appliances to their homes, restoring critical waterways, of course, because they are destroying them now, so they're going to have an excuse to repair them. Forest, they're burning those down with the HARP and all the other weather modifications, in addition to judgment, so they're going to have to do something about that. And urban green spaces, they don't have that many green spaces because they got to push them all down to build these smart cities. So then after they get them all up, then they're going to make new green spaces in these urban places so that you will have someplace green to go sit and enjoy outside in your 15-minute area in your little district. Supporting resilient and climate smart agriculture. That's your lab meats and your genetically modified vegetables and other proteins. bolstering water infrastructure, because the water is going to be contaminated. They're going to have to develop a new water structure for you. In addition to, they're going to control the water and the flow of water and who uses water. So if you don't have a well, they're going to develop these new infrastructures for you, because more people are going to be living in these smart cities after they relocate because of the climate, damaging coastal areas. Modernizing our electric grid, and funding research to develop the latest energy storage technologies here in America. Let me go down to this one. Protecting communities from extreme heat. The Biden-Harris administration is saving lives by reducing exposure to extreme heat events. Community investments through the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program are reducing cooling costs and funding cooling centers in public facilities. The U.S. Forest Service's Urban and Community Forest Program recently announced $1 billion in grants to expand equitable access to trees and green spaces in urban areas, which will reduce heat island effects and slash heating and cooling costs for residents. To better equip local officials with public and the public with robust and accessible information, the administration launched heat.gov, a centralized portal with real-time interactive data and resources on extreme heat conditions, preparedness, and response. And this one, the next one, here it is. Protecting climate-smart buildings and infrastructure. Buildings and infrastructure investments last for generations when done right, so it is critical to plan and build in ways that promote long-term decarbonization and climate resilience. President Biden's national initiative to advance building codes is accelerating adoption of modern building codes that protect people from extreme weather events and save communities an estimated $1.6 billion a year in avoided damages. The administration is also making billions of dollars available to build climate smart buildings and green infrastructure through programs as such the Federal Emergency Management Agency, so that's FEMA, Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities Program, the Department of Housing and Urban Development's Green and Resilient Retrofit Program, which means they're going to be going through these old public housing facilities and putting stuff in there to make things green, which means smart thermostats, smart door locks, smart this and smart that, smart appliances. And the Department of Transportation's Protect program. That's probably the cameras that they're putting up all over the place, and smart lighting, with the new LED lights that are really the police. So here, prioritizing health and safety. Climate and health outcomes are increasingly inextricably linked. According to the Cat Dog Cat Prevention, climate change is worsening asthma, cardiovascular disease, pest and waterborne diseases, and other adverse health outcomes and chronic health conditions. Now, this is important because now this came out on the 19th. Y'all see what's been going on in New York, and y'all see what's going on in Michigan and Chicago with these alleged breathing or air quality issues that allegedly stem from the wildfires in Canada. But everybody's complaining about how the smell smells like a chemical something. So it's just interesting that this is stuck in there. because you think about respiratory and the respiratory issues, and a lot of things they're talking about in here is cardiovascular disease, asthma, pest and waterborne diseases, and other adverse health outcomes and chronic health conditions that come from toxic, living in toxic environments, toxic air, drinking toxic water, living in toxic facilities. So it's just interesting that this is in here now. So it says the president has established the first ever Office of Climate Change and Health Equity in the Department of Health and Human Services to address the impact of climate change on the health of the American people. The department's Climate and Health Outlook Index provides public data on climate and health projections, not real information, projections to inform health professionals and the public. I would say something about this, but I'm not going to touch it with a 10-foot pole because you can't talk about health stuff without getting in trouble. So y'all going to have to read between the lines and understand why this is so problematic. That's all I can say. And this is all that I want to bring out of this particular press release, but please read through it in its entirety. Oh, I was supposed to go to this Justice40 Initiative. Let me see what this Justice40 Initiative is. Okay, so this came out in the 2022 State of the Union. It's a whole of government initiative. We'll create good jobs for millions of Americans, and we'll do it all to withstand the devastating effects of climate change and promote environmental justice. Oh, they can't even do nothing with racial justice. How you gonna do environmental justice? Whew. Okay, so what kind of investments fall within the Justice40 Initiative? So it says, for the first time in our nation's history, the federal government has made it a goal that 40% of the overall benefits of the federal investments flow to disadvantaged communities that are marginalized, underserved, and overburdened by pollution. So this is how they're going to retrofit these poor communities that they've neglected for centuries and make them now, prepare them for the beast infrastructure. That's the best way I can say it. What kinds of investments fall within the Justice40 Initiative? The categories of investments are climate change, clean energy, energy efficiency, clean transit, affordable and sustainable housing, training and workforce development, remediation and reduction of legacy pollution, and the development of critical clean water and wastewater infrastructure. So they created the problems. Now here they go trying to create a solution. So anywho, now that I got an idea of what this is, it's just a way for them to shuffle around some money to people and create these initiatives for stuff they've done and won't apologize for. Okay, so I know what that is now. And the last thing that I want to show you is this. They are talking about a climate emergency, and I'm going to talk about this in another video, but I want you to see that the bill for the Climate Emergency Act has already been introduced. It was introduced in the 117th Congress during the 2021-2022 session. And you need to read this so you will understand what it is. So the National Climate Emergency Act of 2021, or the Climate Emergency Act of 2021. This bill directs the President of the United States to declare a national emergency with respect to climate change. The president, in responding to the emergency, must ensure that the government invests in large-scale mitigation and resiliency projects, makes investments that enable a racially and socially just transition to clean energy economy. Anytime they say racially and must, we in trouble. So they're going to make investments to enable a racially and socially just. When have they ever been racially just in this country? So right there, y'all already know. Ding, 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 ding. Pew, pew. Y'all should be having some red flags go off. Transition to a clean economy by ensuring that at least 40% of the investments flow to historically disadvantaged communities. Avoids solutions that increase inequality or violate human rights. Good luck with that. Creates jobs that conform to labor standards that provide family sustaining wages and benefits and ensure safe workplaces. Prioritizes local and equitable hiring and contracting that creates opportunities for marginalized communities. They've never done this before, never been successful at it. So it sounds good in theory, but we already know who's going to get all the contracts to do all the work and who's going to make all the money from this farce. Combats environmental injustice and reinvest in existing public sector institutions and creates new public sector institutions to strategically mobilize and channel investments at the scale and pace required by the national emergency. This is what is dangerous, this right here, this last sentence. Reinvest in existing public sector institutions and creates new public sector institutions. So that means they're going to be creating new government offices to mobilize and channel investments, which is to me really scary in my mind, how I envision it. I'm not going to say it out loud, but think of it militarily. I'll just say that and I'll leave it at that. When you talk about mobilizing and channeling investments, that don't sound good to me. Since the president shall report annually on actions taken in response to the national emergency. So this is quite interesting. But what I wanted to do was look at this because it has more stuff in it. And here is where you start seeing them start talking about health. 8. According to the cat, there are wide-ranging, acute, and fatal public health consequences from climate change that impact communities across the country. And I don't really want to read all of this because it's going to be a problem. But I need y'all to read this HR 794. Look at who is behind presenting it. Read it to its entirety, all the way through the end, and then see how they have all this stuff. Prioritizes local and equitable hiring and contracting opportunities for, listen, communities of color and indigenous communities, not Black specific. So that means everybody but us. Women, there's a preference for women. I've been talking about this for a minute. Men, y'all are excluded from everything. Veterans, alphabets, individuals, the disabled and chronically ill individuals, formerly incarcerated individuals, and other marginalized communities. So those are the people they're going to be trying to give these contracts to do this work. And so this is a nice reinvention of the New Deal. It's called the Green Deal or whatever they were calling it, Green New Deal. So this is all this is. It's just rebranded. But anyway, there were some things in here that were really alarming to me. Like for instance, this it says a number of local jurisdictions and governments in the United States, including New York City, LA, and across the world, including the United Kingdom, the Republic of Ireland, Portugal, and Canada, have already declared a climate emergency, and a number of state and local governments are considering declaring a climate emergency. So when they declare this climate emergency, this is going to get the ball rolling. So they're considering it, not just because like there's a disaster like a tornado or a hurricane or earthquake, because of the air quality or because of drought or because of whatever reason they conjure up. But I see this as this whole thing with this air quality. All of a sudden the skies are turning orange. They're talking about blocking out the sun and all these different things. This stuff is tied into, the things that are happening now are tied into this. So this is the next thing that we have to be paying attention to, in addition to all the other stuff that we have to pay attention to, because there are a lot of things that are happening at one time. And again, I will put a link to this press release and this bill in the description. Please, 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 please look at it, because this is the framework that the beast infrastructure will be operating. Everything's going to happen. It's not going to happen under anything religious. What they're going to be doing, they're going to tie the worship or the day of rest to climate, and it's going to be included in this framework. So this is why it's going to be really important for you to pay attention to what is going on with the climate. There are going to be a lot of things happening. Some of it may be natural, or some of it may appear to be natural, but a lot of this stuff is not going to be natural. It's going to be facilitated by these demons so that they can fulfill their agendas, and we got to stay on top of it. So this is all I wanted to share with you today for this particular video, but just make sure again that you are understanding what is happening. Nothing is happening in a vacuum. A lot of these plans have already been prepared. Notice this was introduced in February of 2021, around the same time they came out with the lollipop. And just understand that these people have planned ahead for everything. We're just finding out about their plans, or things are coming together and we're understanding them more. But you cannot afford to look away. You cannot afford to not pay attention. You cannot afford to not read. You got to read, because the media is not going to tell you everything that's going on. And people who do not understand how government works and how legislation is introduced and how things are passed, this stuff is already introduced. So all they got to do now is just stick it in a bill and it passes. And then the next thing you know, you got an infrastructure bill. You got and whatever type of investment, a green, whatever it is that they need. So a lot of times they introduce this stuff and they just let it sit someplace. And then all of a sudden, it's an election year. They're going to cause some chaos. People going to be concerned about some stuff that really don't matter, social issues. And they're going to tuck it in something. And the next thing you know, it becomes law. Once it becomes law, it's a wrap. It's not going to get repealed. You ain't going to be able to do nothing about it. It's just going to be there, and then they're going to declare this emergency, and then that's when the good times are going to start rolling. Next, they're going to have climate lockdowns and all the stuff that they're talking about. It's going to happen through this Climate Emergency Act. So I'm going to do another video to talk about the act, talk about the recent calls for it, and I'll talk about this bill a little more. But I just wanted to share with you that, Papa already got he's putting the money behind something that was introduced not long after he got into office. So the beast infrastructure continues to be laid, and we're watching it happen in real time. So I'm appreciative that the Most High has given me eyes to see and understand how to put these things together for you. They're tied to a lot of things that are happening globally, and we're just having to cherry pick and pull pieces together from here and there, everywhere, to shed light on it and to make sense of it. But don't sleep on anything, because our lives are at stake, and we know, if you're true Israel, you know what time it is. We are the targets of everything. So they're going to try to make sure it's nothing but a remnant of us left on this earth. And a lot of us are, piled up in cities, in high rises that don't have good, air conditioning units, old facilities. We use public transportation. A lot of people don't have cars. You can't escape the city. Your whole life is in the city. You work in the city. And the other thing is, a lot of the stuff that's happening is to destroy agriculture. A lot of places up north grow a lot of food and a lot of cows and chickens. I'll just say that. So, as we're worried about our respiratory health, think about all the farm animals that can't escape or will perish or be ill, that will probably be processed and you'll eat, or that will probably be processed and be sent overseas to be reprocessed and shipped back in. So it's, we're living in some really crazy times. So we have to pray over everything we put in our body. We have to try to detox as much as possible. We need to make sure we are, repenting for our sins, praying over our bodies so that they will be healed and remain in good health. We got to do whatever we can do right now to combat what is coming and prepare, because the hour is coming where we're not going to have access to many things. So get what you can now. Be very strategic. Be very quiet. Try to buy things in cash if you can. Get what you need for your family to survive what is coming. And take this advice. Take these warnings. Take these subtle hints and these telegraphs and do something with them. Don't just sit on the information and just be like, oh, well, I heard about that already. I know about that already. Know about it and do something. Know about it and plant a garden. Know about it and buy seeds. Know about it and get you some distilled water or alkaline water. Get water filters and figure out how to clean whatever it is you're consuming. Learn how to clean your vegetables and fruit. We can't take anything for granted anymore. We are living with evil. We've always lived with evil and wicked people, but they are showing us how evil and wicked they are. They don't care anymore. They understand this is the end of the line, and they got a job to do so they can transition into this system. So let us keep watch, and let us continue to try to wake up our brothers and sisters who are wandering aimlessly throughout the land, thinking about nothing important. All right, please like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Also, subscribe to my Odyssey and Rumble channels in the event that this channel is taken down. Please hit that bell notification so that you can get notified anytime I upload new videos. I don't like to waste people's time, so I only share what I need to share with you so that you can keep watch. I feel like I'm a watchman, and that's what I'm doing. I'm sharing information with you so that you can be prepared. I need Yasharel to survive. We need to be the remnant. And the remnant that survives is going to be the remnant that helps set up the new kingdom. We're going to be ruling, and so we need to be acting like we are responsible people who are leading others to truth. And so that is what I feel like I'm supposed to do in this hour. And I want our people to be well. So that's my goal until I can't do it anymore. Follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram and on Facebook. I do not post to those platforms much because I'm censored so much. So right now I'm focusing on building this channel until I cannot. If the internet goes down and this stuff is scrubbed clean, while I do have a lot of my stuff backed up, I will not be coming back, because I understand with this agenda also comes censorship, and we're already being censored. So it's only going to get worse. Take what you can from the internet, learn what you can, put stuff on storage drives and storage devices, print out what you can, get hard copies. Even these videos, if you can rip them from the internet and save them to watch them later, to share with people, so that people who are waking up late understand what time it is. Do that. Let us do what we need to do in order to survive and navigate these treacherous times. This is Marley K. Love y'all. Happy Sabbath. Peace unto all of us, because Lord knows we need it. And just continue to repent for sins of commission and sins of omission, because we want to be found worthy to escape what they have planned for us. And what they have planned is not good. All right. Love y'all. Love y'all. Love y'all. Love y'all to pieces. I pray for y'all's safety, and I'm praying for mine too. Take care, and I'm out.